Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany. My name is Reverend Sam Trumbore. Before we begin, please check to make sure your microphone is muted. The same for your camera if your image is potentially distracting. Please also be mindful of your speech while on Zoom, as microphones have a way of getting accidentally unmuted. This will minimize any disruption of our service. Thanks so much for your cooperation. We have a new Sunday service element this morning, community message. On a regular basis, we'll have a member of our congregation bring you a short, inspirational, personal message about some aspect of our congregational life. Today, you'll hear a message by Jan McCracken. These messages will be a way to connect more deeply with our community and our members. This is now a time of transition from ordinary time to sacred time. Time to check in with your body, to collect your attention, to be present in this moment. Let this moment be separated from earlier and later. May this virtual space become a sanctuary for the next hour. Allow your screen to transform into a virtual community hall, to experience images, sounds, and music, songs, poetry, and prose that will lift your heart, broaden your mind, and move you to do justice in the world in the service of building beloved community. May this virtual service be holy time for each of us that joins us together in the celebration of life. And our prelude this morning is Bridge Over Troubled Water by Paul Simon, and our musician is Elena Karpov. Let us light our chalice together and read the words that you'll see on your screen. Welcoming all free seekers of truth and meaning, we gather to excite the human spirit, to inspire its growth and development, to respond morally and ethically to a troubled world, and to sustain a vital and nurturing religious community. And now it's our turn to sing For All That Is Our Life by Patrick Rickey and Bruce Findlow. And our song leader is Randy Rosette.
And make our honest glad.
And our wisdom story will be introduced by Leah Purcell.
Our story today is Anti-Racist Baby by Ibram X. Kendi. I have a video of an interview with the author in which he is asked to read his book aloud. And at the end, he gives what I think is a message of universalism about the meaning and importance of the story.
So what other, so there have been some demands from people for you to read the book or exercise.
Oh, you want me to read the book? Okay.
Yes, how's that?
All right, Imani, I'm gonna read the book. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anti-Racist Baby. All right, who's that on the cover?
Imani.
That's Imani. Okay.
Imani, you're famous. You gotta give me a signed copy for Juice.
All right. Anti-Racist Baby is bred, not born. Anti-Racist Baby is made to make society transform. Babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There's no neutrality. Take these 9 steps to make equity a reality. You want to close it? All right, cool. 1, open your eyes to all skin colors.
1.
Anti-Racist Baby learns all the colors, not because race is true. If you claim to be colorblind, you deny what's right in front of you. Let's go to the next page. Oh, you want to sit down? Okay. What number is that?
4.
You know what number that is. 2, use your words to talk about race. No one will see racism if we only stay silent. If we don't name racism, it won't stop being so violent. What number is that?
Rainbow.
Point at policies as the problem, not people. Some people get more while others get less because policies don't always grant equal access. What number is that?
4.
Shout, there's nothing wrong with the people. Shout it. There's nothing wrong with the people.
There's nothing wrong with the people.
Even though all races are not treated the same,
What?
we are all human.
What me?
I know, all the hearts, yes. Even though all races are not treated the same, we are all human. Anti-racist Baby can proclaim. 5, celebrate all our differences. Anti-Racist Baby doesn't see certain groups as better or worse. Anti-Racist Baby loves a world that's truly diverse. 6. Knock down the stack of cultural blocks. Okay. Anti-Racist Baby appreciates how groups speak, dance, and create as they choose. Anti-Racist Baby welcomes all groups, voicing their unique views. What number is that?
4.
Oh, you know that's not 4. 7. Confess when being racist. Nothing disrupts racism more than when we confess the racist ideas that we sometimes express. 8. Grow to be an anti-racist. Anti-Racist Baby is always learning, changing, and growing. Anti-Racist Baby stays curious about all people and isn't all-knowing. What number is that?
P. Not just like P.
I know, it does look like a P. 9. Believe we shall overcome racism. Anti-Racist Baby is filled with the power to transcend, my friend, and doesn't judge a book by its cover, but reads until
the end. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You want to clap? Okay.
Thank you so much for giving the people what they wanted. Do you have any final thoughts or last words you'd like to leave people with as we wrap up?
Oh, well, just, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Derica. It was just truly special for me to be able to write this book, and even for Imani to see herself in it, and I'm sure other girls and boys, and even are going to see themselves in the book. The beauty of the book is, as you'll see, I don't know, you couldn't see it too closely, but there's boys and girls of every race. There's love. There's queer love. There's interracial love. There's Black love. There's Latinx love, and really the book is founded on love and really based on love, because being anti-racist is really about love. People are on the streets right now because they love. People want to transform this country because they love. And we should be wanting to raise our babies to be anti-racist because we love them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Anything you want to say, Imani?
I want to say. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much, Ibram. Before we close, I just want to remind people, if you are in a position to make a donation, no matter how small, please, please, please consider giving to Haymarket and to the Boston University Center for Anti-Racist Research. You can also purchase copies of Anti-Racist Babies and Ibram's other books from Labyrinth Books.
And we welcome our Facebook viewers to Albany UU. And I have some opening words for you this morning from Mark Morrison Reed. And these are actually from the back of our hymnal. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice alone. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. I have two readings for you. The first is from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., from The Role of the Church in Facing the Nation's Chief Moral Dilemma. It was from 1957. And the second reading is by Alex Capitan and Reverend Michael Slack from the Transforming Hearts curriculum that we worked with last year. Here is the first reading. Our ultimate end must be reconciliation. The end must be redemption. The end must be the creation of beloved community. We have before us the glorious opportunity to inject a new dimension of love into the veins of our civilization. The type of love that I stress here is not eros, a sort of aesthetic or romantic love, not philia, a sort of reciprocal love between personal friends, but it is agape, which is understanding goodwill for all. It is the overflowing love, which seeks nothing in return. It does not begin by discriminating between worthy and unworthy people. It begins by loving others for their sakes and makes no distinction between a friend and enemy. It is directed toward both. It is this type of love, this type of spirit that can transform opposers into friends. It is love seeking to preserve and create community. It is the love of God working in the lives of humanity. It is the love that may well be the salvation of our civilization. The second reading. Beloved community is what we say when we say we, and we mean everyone. Beloved community is not homogeneous. It can't be. When commonality is presumed, when we make presumption about who's present and whether people are like us or not, we're not practicing beloved community, because beloved community doesn't make those assumptions. It doesn't presume commonality or a sense of being homogeneous. Another thing that beloved community is not like-minded, because we're not called to be like-minded in spiritual community. We're called to be like-hearted. And finally, beloved community is not devoid of conflict. And this is one that's really hard. Beloved community is not easy. There's nothing easy about practicing beloved community. When we avoid conflict in order to get along, we're not practicing beloved community, because beloved community exists when we trust each other, when we have relationships strong enough to actually disagree with each other, to be in conflict, even to risk hurting each other, and we stay in relationship through the disagreements and conflict and potential hurt. That's practicing beloved community. So into readings, and our spoken meditation today is We Are One by the Reverend Dr. Hope Johnson. Hope was a beloved elder in Unitarian Universalism. She served as the congregational life consultant for the UUA's Central East region and the Southern region. She brought specialties in conflict resolution and multicultural congregational development. Among other ministries and UU service, she was the former minister of the UU congregation of Central Nassau, New York, where she served for 15 years. Hope passed away in November. Let us turn inward to receive her words spoken at the 2013 UUA General Assembly. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. In an outdoor crowd of people kneeling, fists are raised in solidarity. We are one. Working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, and rejoicing. Getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, and being forgiven through grace, creating a beloved community together. We are one. Let us take these words and our own thoughts and reflections into a time of silent meditation. Embedded in the founding principles of this nation is the vision of beloved community. Unitarians and Universalists sensed it, I think, and gradually moved toward it. Today, Unitarian Universalists recognize its value, are naming it, and actively seeking to realize it. The beloved community, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. brought into our national discourse in the 1950s envisions a wide diversity and inclusion. We Unitarian Universalists are identifying it as respect for and inclusion of diverse theological beliefs, gender identities, sexual orientations, abilities, economic status, political philosophies, and cultural heritages. Rather than marking boundaries of who is in and who is out of beloved community, our goal is striving to find the edge of our inclusion and discern if that boundary is appropriate or not. External markers, as much as possible, are not where those boundaries are drawn. What unites us is our shared heart, our care, our human-centered values. Those values prioritize what happens in this life, not what happens after death. We gather for our sacred work of lifting hearts, broadening minds, and doing justice in the world in the service of building beloved community. This is the spirit of the proposed 8th principle to add to our purposes and principles that reads, "We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions." These are all lofty and beautiful ideas. Today, we're going to talk about putting them into practice. Now, in some other denominations, the members would say to me, "You're the minister, you go do it." That's not how things work in our congregation. We are a community that puts its faith in the collective wisdom of its individual members. No one of us has a red telephone or secure internet link to God. I have some expertise and training, others don't, but this is a very smart, well-educated congregation here. Our faith says we as a congregation can discern better than any individual. Not perfectly by any means, just better than one person. Much better than a charismatic religious leader vulnerable to the distorted thinking that comes with the intoxication of power and prestige. Our collective wisdom is available to our congregation to guide it only if there is wide participation. This is why I bring this message to you this morning, rather than just to the board of trustees or the ministry and operations team. The realization of beloved community will require all of us to participate. That is one reason I wanted you to hear about Eleanor Ostrom's 8 core design principles for successful high-functioning groups. I spoke about them 2 weeks ago in my sermon on the evolution of community. These generalized principles help effectively handle the tragedy of the commons problem. Anybody remember these 8 principles? Well, here are her core design principles again to refresh your memory. Number 1, strong group identity and understanding of purpose that recognizes boundaries, rights, and obligations of being a group member. 2, proportional equivalence between benefits and costs. Those who put in extra work get the rewards, assuming everyone does their fair share. Fairness is paramount. 3, fair and inclusive decision-making. Everyone takes part in decision-making, striving for consensus if possible to establish agreed-upon behaviors and goals. 4, monitoring agreed-upon behaviors. Everyone must be willing to be monitored and held accountable for lapses and transgressions. 5, graduated sanctions. Holding people accountable begins soft and gradually becomes harder. Most just need a gentle nudge or reminder. The threat of harsher sanctions and punishment needs to back that up. 6, fast and fair conflict resolution. Resolution inside the group is far better than an appeal to outside authority. 7, local autonomy. The group needs to be able to create its own social organization and make its own decisions, as outlined in this 1 through 6. And finally, polycentric governance. Relationships between subgroups need to follow the same rules and procedures of the larger groups. The institutions in which the group is embedded also need to honor these rules and procedures. So how are we doing as a congregation regarding these principles? In some ways, very well. In recent years, we've focused more on our purpose, revising our mission statement and developing a vision statement. The mission is more identity-centered and the vision is direction-focused. I found reflecting on and prioritizing lifting hearts, broadening minds, and doing justice very helpful as we decide how to allocate our congregational resources and energy. The last several years, we've paid a lot of attention to changes in our governance structures that are polycentric and respect local autonomy. We are part of a UU governance structure that honors local autonomy and polycentric structures that mirror ours, even how the UUA board conducts its business. We have a fair and inclusive approach to decision-making. As I reflect on these design principles, the area I believe we need to do some work is around the accountability measures, like monitoring agreed upon behaviors, graduated sanctions, and fast and fair conflict resolution. The problem with these 3 is our culture of conflict avoidance, our culture of conflict avoidance. We live stressful lives these days. And if we are fortunate to live low-stress lives, we only need to monitor the news for a short time before getting agitated. When people come to our virtual doors these days, they seek comfort and inspiration. They want to feel good about themselves. They want to make positive connections with others. They would prefer to be part of a community that leads them to inner peace, safety, and ease. Words from the Buddhist loving kindness meditation we do each Sunday in our meditation group at 8:30 in the morning. I get it. I want these experiences too. Yet in relationships between people, there are going to be problems. It can't be avoided. Beautiful as it is to be a participant in a vital, vibrant, and thriving community, such as we have here, there are disagreements. People want different things and prioritize differently. Feelings get hurt. Harm happens. Needs go unfulfilled. Community would be easy if we were all enlightened, if everyone could just let go of their personal desires and aversions. Our human propensity our human propensity to prioritize self-interest and personal comfort over community well-being causes endless issues to resolve. We have no rules, for example, about hymn singing. I grew up enjoying German beer drinking songs Martin Luther transformed into hymns. Others prefer syncopated Caribbean music, Gregorian chant, or rap tunes. Hail to Randy Rosette, our interim music coordinator, for trying to find some agreeable balance. Congregations can fight endlessly about music. Part of our challenge is our individualistic approach to religion. We don't require everyone to believe the same way. Our shared values can be supported by a variety of beliefs. Many people come to us because their minds rebelled against the creedal statements or beliefs or practices that they were required to accept. Unitarian Universalism honors each person's faithfulness to their perception of what is true. Here we need not believe alike to love alike. Our diverse beliefs need not undermine our commitment to this community. This individualistic approach to belief hasn't helped us, though, become more diverse and inclusive. We were founded as a missionary church of upper crust elite Boston Unitarianism to the western frontier across the Hudson River in 1844. Our sanctuary was designed in Boston as part of an agreement with the American Unitarian Association to buy the land it sits on and give it to us. White, intellectual, college-educated, middle-class culture has defined us from the start. Of course, we've grown and changed over the years, but we retain a great deal of that culture. The diversification beyond that culture and the inclusion of people bringing different cultures is likely to create more conflict. What I hear again and again from other UU congregations is increasing diversity and inclusion also increases conflict. Why? Unconscious bias that results in microaggressions, cultural unfamiliarity that cause harm, wider varieties of preferences and priorities that challenge existing practices. This conflict is baked into taking our mission and vision seriously. But please consider that conflict done well isn't a bad thing. In fact, it is transformational. Jan McCracken gave me the little book of Conflict Transformation by John Paul Lederach that I've been reading. Lederach recognizes that conflict is a normal part of human relationships. Not only is it normal, it is also the motor, the motivator, the engine that drives change. When something goes wrong and conflict results, skillful conflict resolution can not only bring resolution, but change things for the better. Numerous times over the 31 years Philomena and I have been married, we've had conflicts we've resolved that have not only brought resolution, but also brought us closer together. Lederach defines conflict transformation as a constructive change process, that responds to the natural ebb and flow of human relationships. The result of that constructive change process when skillfully done, is the reduction of violence and an increase in just and fair resolutions. Skillful change processes involve direct interaction with helpful social structures and respond to real-life problems. Critical to see is that peaceful resolution of conflict is not a fixed end point. Peace is a continuously evolving, developing quality of relationship. What increases over time is a confidence, a trust, a capacity to engage in constructive change processes because resolutions have been achieved. Philomena and I are not done having conflicts, far from it. But we've developed a good record of resolutions that has developed a great deal of confidence and trust in each other to enter the next one and expect a good outcome. And we have a wide variety of skills drawn upon to help us resolve the next one. And we've both grown and developed a lot over those years. If we really want to be a diverse and inclusive congregation, we need to become more skillful and willing to deal with conflict. Thankfully, it is a skill that can be developed. Social structures that can be created to facilitate constructive change processes, and developing that skill can reduce our anxiety about conflict and help our congregation do conflict well. The good news is that we have a lot of people in our congregation who do know how to do conflict well. What has been missing is intentional work to organize that energy into social structures people can use to share their skills and resources. The even better news is the Conflict Transformation Work Group is forming right now to do just that. Jan McCracken, Michael Hornsby, Paula Brewer, Sharon Babala, Anne-Marie Haber, Brian Frank, Jean Poppy, Deborah Vogel, and I are beginning to develop tools to facilitate constructive change processes for our congregation. The work group hopes that these processes will increase trust and help strengthen relationships between members and friends. They are considering how we might create new levels of community where the conflict that naturally occurs in the ebb and flow of congregation life can be proactively mitigated. Their hope is their initiatives will result in outcomes that facilitate growth, development, and greater love and care for each other. So if we really want to build beloved community, a community that is diverse and inclusive, we're going to need to get better at conflict. Thankfully, we've never been better prepared to do conflict well in a productive and caring way than we are today. The social sciences and the heritage of world religious teachings provide many ways for us to be successful. May we accept this challenge, not just for ourselves as individuals, not just for the benefit of our congregation, but that we may be part of transforming how this community, this region, this nation, this world deals with conflict. It is time to put down our weapons, unclench our fists, stop shouting and threaten each other, and find other ways to make peace. May we have the courage to face this challenge and discover the transforming power of unity in diversity, which is at the core of our faith. So be it.
Good morning. My name is Eric von Hausen, and I'll be your service associate today. An important way we celebrate life each Sunday is by offering an opportunity to practice generosity. Members and friends support our congregation with an annual pledge paid throughout the year. Another way to support the good work of this congregation is by making a generous contribution via one of the options shown on the slide. You can click the tiny URL link in the chat window to contribute, or you can send a text to the number shown on the screen. The examples on the slide show how to label your text to indicate the amount and the purpose or intent of your gift. We must now say goodbye to our Facebook friends. Consider joining us on Zoom next time by visiting albanyuu.org. Our outro music is Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Eugene Butler, Robert Frost, musicians, Albany UU Virtual Choir.
Hi, everyone. Within this past year, around 75 participants from our UU community have been learning and growing in classes about racism. The class we're in the middle of right now is called Racial Healing. Whether Black, brown, or white, the class encourages all of us to look at our racial identity in a positive way. I'm learning who I am as a racial being with its privileges and disadvantages. I keep breaking through the ignorance of my internalized racism. I get that no one is free until we all are. Going back a few years, I was told by a Black person that I have a lot of work to do if I ever aspire to being anti-racist. There was hurt and confusion, and hard to handle emotions were triggered. I thought I was pretty far along, but I stepped into a whole arena of awareness. These hard to hear messages that were delivered got my attention, and as I put on my anti-racist hearing aids, the deafness started to lift. My Black friends didn't sign up to teach us white folks about our racism, but it's been a service when the opportunity arises. With reflection and perspective, I have owned and regretted that my cluelessness has caused pain. I know there will be more learning the hard way as I continue to do this healing work. And I'm willing and becoming more able to be a catalyst for change. Being anti-racist is different from being non-racist. For me, it requires internal work that takes perseverance, energy, and integration of heart and mind. Doing it with the love and support of this community makes a huge difference to me. Classes like this one that I'm in now, Racial Healing, help to keep me on track. Please celebrate with me the justice work we continue to commit to as a community, and consider where you might be able to stretch your capacity to learn, relearn, and respond to this call of our times. And finally, you don't have to commit to monthly meetings to do the work. Our inclusivity team offers lots of ways to be on this path of working for systemic equality.
This is the time set aside in our service for sharing significant personal milestones in our lives. There are 3 ways to share a joy or sorrow. The first option is to type your joy or sorrow in the chat window. Please put the words "read aloud" at the beginning of your message if you would like us to do that. Please also consider connecting privately in the chat with a pastoral care associate. You may identify the ones on duty today because we have PCA in front of our names, and that's myself and Dee Van Riper. The second option is to click the blue raised hand symbol in your participant window, and our technician, Chris, will unmute you and invite you to speak your joy or sorrow. And the third option is to submit a joy or sorrow using our website by noon on Friday prior to service. We'll begin by reading those that were submitted this past week. Then we'll hear the joys and sorrows followed by the chat entries that are to be read aloud. So Chris, are there any?
Thanks, Sharon. We didn't receive anything from the website, so we'll go straight to spoken joys and concerns, and we'll start with Phil Rich. So Phil, go ahead and unmute and share.
Good morning, everyone. I am sorry to have to tell you that my dear friend Audrey Kibrick, who ran the Next Step, who ran the Volunteer Center of Albany, who was very much involved in alcohol and drug abuse initiatives, who was a member of the Albany County League of Women Voters, died this past Friday of complications from the pestilence. And I've had her for 29 years, and you know, we can't keep each other forever. I will miss her a great deal, and I will tell you that she's been a great friend, and we can talk about it other times. Thank you very much.
All right. Next up is Clemenden family. Go ahead and unmute and share.
Hi, my name is Natalie, and I have a joy and a sorrow. My sorrow is that one of my best friends in the whole wide world is moving to Florida, and my joy is that my Oma and Opa got their first COVID shot.
Great. Thank you. Next is Michael Braunstein. Go ahead and unmute and share.
My joy is that Friday I took some friends and we went to Mount Snow and had a good day of skiing. Despite the fear, we were able to enjoy a day outside.
Great, thank you.
Okay, are we complete with that, Chris?
Yeah, I don't see any more hands.
Thank you. So the following joys and sorrows have been submitted in the chat window. From Shannon Simpson, my oldest nephew received 6 stitches in his lip last night after hitting his face on the counter. Ouch. Hope he feels better soon. From Mary Applegate, I am grateful that my Austin, Texas friends, Paul and Gordon, made it through this week's frigid weather and are well. And from Elizabeth B., thinking of my dear friend Mary, who is dealing with the 3rd return of her ovarian cancer, which has metastasized. Very tough. Meredith Andrews, I am excited for my oldest son, Zach. He has accepted his first real job in West Virginia, and he will be moving there in the next 2 weeks. And from Kristen Abbas, Several friends lost parents in the past few weeks, sending love and light to all who are grieving the loss of loved ones. And I'm moving back up to Jessica Ray. I started an internship with a not-for-profit poetry publisher. And I think that is it. So for the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken, let us hold all that we've heard and felt in our hearts.
And here is a prayer of affirmation from the Reverend Dr. David Breeden, here for beloved community. May I be all in for beloved community. May I be all in despite the challenges. May I be all here for beloved community. May I be ready for the beauty because I long for the possibilities. Yes, I am here for beloved community. May I see the beauty of you in community, of us in community. May we be the beauty of beloved community. May we be the dream together. We join here in beloved community. So be it. And we can sing now our last song, Building Bridges, an English Quaker round. And our song leader is Elena Karpoff, and there's lots of parts, so you can pick the one you want to sing.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices, with all of our voices, reach out to me. With all of our voices, will you reach out to me? I reach out to voices, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices, will you reach out to me? I reach out to our voices, will you reach out to me? I reach out to our voices, will you reach out to me? I reach out to our voices, will you reach out to me?
As we extinguish the chalice, please join us in the words shown on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. For our benediction today, I've chosen a passage out of a book called A House for Hope, and it's by John Behrens and Rebecca Ann Parker. This is a passage that's written by Rebecca Ann Parker. Throughout the history of liberal theology, anthropology, there runs a clear theme. Love is not a vertical relationship of obedient submission to a divine ruler. As the liberal theologian Walter Rauschenbach wrote, we love and serve God when we love and serve our fellows. The powers of the soul enable connection and interaction with others. To be human is to be embedded in the intricate web of life. To be alive is to receive the world through all the channels of the senses, all the sensitive modes of feeling that are ours, and to respond with our own contribution. We give to life our touch, our word, our action, our embrace, our guidance, our acceptance, our censure, our blessing. All living is in community and in connection with others. Love is what happens in the vibrant interchange among living beings and life forms. It is the experience of being drawn to one another, of interacting with each other to create happiness and joy, to labor to care for life's daily needs, to give refreshment to the soul. Love blesses the intersections among individual beings and the whole fabric of existence. Amen. Our thanks today to ushers Kristen Abbas, Chuck Manning, Jean Poppy, Pastoral Care Associates for Sharon Babala and Dean Van Riper. Welcomer was Don Odell, Service Associate Eric Von Hausen. Musicians for the AUU Virtual Choir, Elena Karpov, Randy Rosette, Bruce Holden. Office support, Tammy Hathaway, Elizabeth Valdez. Technical support, Chris Jensen.